Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. I'm in my kitchen and I've taken this picture down off of my library, my study, and brought it in here so I can show you. I'm wrapping up our journey of the cross, Jesus' beating, death, burial, and resurrection. And what I want to do now is I just want to turn the camera around so you can see the picture, and then I'm going to teach off of that. So here we go, guys. Now, I've told you that I have several of these paintings. They are by Marilyn Todd Daniels. There you go. I think that's good enough for us to use. Her name is Marilyn Todd Daniels. I have 5 of her paintings. I used one of them to teach from the Last Supper. You know, the picture we have of Leonardo da Vinci with Jesus sitting in the middle of the long table is a Roman mindset, traditional thinking from the 1450s to the 1500s. Leonardo da Vinci finished that painting in 1498, okay? So those pictures are absolutely not even close to accurate. And the one that I taught on is very, very, very accurate from the time of Jerusalem when Jesus was there. So today I want to show you this. This is a very, very good picture. I want to start with talking about this mount. A mount in Jerusalem is not as tall as a mountain like we know in the United States. A mountain and a mount, M-O-U-N-T, are two completely different things. A mount is not nearly as tall, and they're flat across the top. Now, this particular mount is within walking distance of the Garden Tomb. This is where many people believe Jesus was actually buried, in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, the very, very rich man that took Jesus' body and put it in his own new tomb that he had made for him and his family. If this is the mount where Jesus was crucified, they would have been crucified up here, not down here on the ground. About 40 years ago, if you looked at a painting of this, you would have seen a mouth here. But they've cleared the land here, okay, and it's lower than it used to be, and back before they cleared everything, you could see the mouth a little bit better, but there is the skull, the 2 eyes, the nose, and there used to be a very vivid mouth there at one time. Now, this Bible teacher is going to go ahead and tell you, I don't really believe that Jesus was crucified here. Now, he could have been, but Jewish tradition and outside of the Bible, Jewish writings have always said that Jesus was crucified where they buried Adam's body. Adam's body and his skull actually was found, and it was buried by Shem, who is Noah's son. So when Noah and his family got off the boat, Shem took the body of Adam and placed it in a tomb in a mountain or a mount, and that was the same mount that Jesus was crucified on. I did a teaching on that, so let me keep moving. Let me show you this. Here we see the sign above Jesus's head. It's very accurate. It's got 3 different languages here. This first language is Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Our Bibles say that. Now, I want to make something clear. Our Bibles in the translation says Hebrew, and actually what the Greek manuscript says is the Hebrew language in the Hebrew language, which would have been Aramaic. At the time Jesus was here on the earth, the language in the Jerusalem and the Jewish areas was Aramaic. So the sign was in the Hebrew language of Aramaic, which is what Jesus spoke, as well as Greek and Latin. The next thing I want to talk about is Jesus having the nails in his wrist. That is very accurate. And then there's a little piece of wood behind the nail head so that that would not come loose off of their wrist and the men fall down off the cross. A coroner who did medical research for causes of death and different things, he took some cadavers and worked with them to see how much weight could be held up by a nail being put in the center of a hand, and it was under 80 pounds. So no one weighing 80 pounds or more could have been nailed in the hand, because they would have fallen off the cross. Because, look, your hand would rip. Every time he would put someone up with the nail here, their hand would rip, and the nail would come out between these two fingers, and the cadaver would fall. So Jesus, and they have found a handful of remains of people who have been crucified, and they are through the wrist. The Greek word for hand that's translated in our English Bibles, hand, actually means in the Greek from your elbow down to your fingertips. So it's not that our Bibles are wrong, they just didn't pick the best description of the Greek word for hand, because it's the elbow down to the fingertips. With that said, this is accurate. And then you notice that the men are naked, and that is accurate. All of the people who were crucified were nailed to the cross naked. That was part of the punishment, was to be stripped naked and die naked in front of people. Marilyn said that she had to pray to God about how she could make this picture accurate with the men being naked, but it not be X-rated, pornographic, or inappropriate for people to look at. And she said that God showed her just to draw in from an angle that the soldiers would hide their nakedness. And I thought that was really cool. I had the pleasure of speaking to this lady for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on the phone before I bought her paintings. So over here we see the priest mocking and standing around talking about Jesus. Over here we have John and Mary. This is where John and Mary were at the cross, and Jesus says, "Woman, behold your son, and behold your mother." And John took care of Mary for the rest of her life. We see 4 Roman soldiers here. This is accurate as well. These Roman soldiers were specially trained in the art of crucifixion, and they knew exactly how to put the most punishment and pain on a man. Part of that was knowing where to drive the nail in his wrist where it would hit that median nerve. The median nerve goes through both arms, to the neck, down the spine, and down both legs. When a man would move at all on the cross, he would have this excruciating pain go through all of that nerve. And the next thing they would do is suffocate. So they would push up. There was a little piece of wood that they nailed their feet to, and they would use that little piece of wood to push up to get a little bit of oxygen. And so they had to decide if they wanted the median nerve pain shooting through them bad enough to push up to get a little bit of air in their lungs. People would die on the cross from suffocation because they couldn't get enough air in their lungs, that it would start building up in their lungs fluid, and they would dehydrate, and their heart would get so overweighted with trying to work that it would burst their heart and kill them as well. So let's keep going. These 4 Roman soldiers, now this is not as accurate. She's showing them drawing lots for the garment, but actually in Roman writings what they did is one of them would take their helmet off, and each man would put a rock or stone that was marked, and he knew it was his, and they would roll that helmet around, and the very last stone that was in the helmet would win whatever they were gambling for. In this particular case, the Bible records that they did not tear this garment, that this piece of linen cloth was the most expensive clothing in Jerusalem at the time, and what made it even more expensive is that it was one piece. So just the type of fabric made it very rare and expensive, and the fact that it was woven in one piece, no seams, made it even more expensive. This garment was worn only by high priests. It was very rare. Now, and it was specially made to fit the man that it was made for. Jesus wore this, and I would like to say this, and this will get a little feathers going, but I've got to say it. You know, we've been taught over the years that Jesus was poor. The Bible doesn't say that Jesus was poor in a sense that he didn't have any money. Jesus became poor because he came out of heaven and came to earth. Jesus had Judas taking care of the money bag, and he was a trained warrior. So I think that they probably had a little more money than people think they did. Before I wrap up, I do want to say this. Here he is with the spear that he used to puncture Jesus' side to prove that Jesus was truly dead. And you'll see also there's plenty of people around. There's a tray of food and a donkey with wine. This is actually accurate too. People would come out to watch this because it was a form of entertainment for the entire city to see someone die. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up today, and I hope you've enjoyed looking at my picture and me explaining to you all of the different things on the picture. Well, God bless you, and I'll see you here again on Facebook. Bye-bye.